Michael Jackson?
Oh, God.
Michael Jackson?
I thought you were going to go here first.
Why did you marry Michael Jackson?
Okay, can I just, well...
What were you doing?
Was the king of pop in an arranged marriage with the princess of rock and roll? Let's talk about it. The other day I was looking through the newspaper archives for something unrelated, and I ended up coming across this article that I was absolutely not looking for. And the title was Scientology as Matchmaker. Now, this is an article from August 7th, 1994, and it was in this newspaper called The Herald. The subtitle says, Former church members speculate on Presley-Jackson wedding. You might not know this, but Michael Jackson was married to the daughter of Elvis Presley. So the king of pop was married to the daughter of the king of rock and roll. I don't know. But so Elvis's wife, her name was Priscilla. She was very beautiful and also very, very young whenever Elvis met her. It was kind of one of those typical stories about the very young, beautiful girl getting whisked off by the old coot rock and roll star who wasn't necessarily probably the best husband, etc. Well, they did have a daughter named Lisa Marie. Elvis died in the late 70s. I think it was 1977. And whenever he died, his daughter, Lisa Marie, started acting out in typical ways that we do see in Hollywood. So the story goes that Elvis's widow, Priscilla, was approached by the most famous Scientologist of the day in the 70s, John Travolta. And legend has it that John Travolta told Priscilla Presley that Scientology had the tools to handle these behavioral issues. One thing leads to another, and Lisa Marie Presley is kind of shuffled through all of the typical, traditional, what we would imagine Scientology would do. She went through auditing, and you know who her auditor was in Scientology? As a very young child, she was put through this auditing with that nose job lady. You know that lady that was like a huge billionaire, millionaire, whatever? She's like super rich lady, and she was married to the president of Scientology, but she left the Church of Scientology in 2010 or whatever. I mean, I know y'all have seen this lady. She was Lisa Marie Presley's auditor, okay? She was Lisa Marie Presley's auditor in the Church of Scientology. So I do want to get into that story a little bit more, the details and all of that, but let's circle back to this article that I had found and look at the allegations that are being made in the article. It says, why did Lisa Marie Presley and Michael Jackson get married? Love, if you believe her press release, the one pledging to, quote, dedicate my life to being his wife? Or, goes the speculation from Hollywood, Jackson is rehabbing his image and simultaneously consummating the ultimate entertainment empire together. Because you got to think about what's actually worth all the money of these estates is the publishing rights and who owns them. And if you're marrying the person who owns them, for example, then maybe you could combine your publishing rights. And we do know that Michael Jackson was very interested in buying publishing rights. I think whenever at the time that he died, he owned most of the Beatles catalog.
I bought the Beatles.
Yeah.
While I'm doing the video with the Beatles. That's gangster. Michael Walls and Paul McCartney. If you're gonna sell the Beatles, how much you sell them for? Oh, I don't know, about 60 million. Wow, that's a lot of money. That motherfucker go right to his trailer, get his people on the phone. Paul don't find out till the next day Michael done bought the Beatles. That motherfucker come on and say, how can you buy Beatles? How can you buy Beatles? He said 60, I gave you 64.
So he definitely was a business-minded person when it came to intellectual property, royalties, owning publishing rights, songs, catalogs, things like that. Then it offers a third speculation theory. It says, but another possibility is circulating among the conspiracy-minded former members of the Church of Scientology. It's an astounding theory that the church itself helped arrange the Presley-Jackson union. But these defectors say nothing about Scientology would astound them. Quote, Scientology has been known to tell people to get divorced or married for public relations purposes. That's very interesting because I actually know of someone right now who's getting divorced, and I've already found at least one lie in their divorce paperwork about how long they've been living apart and stuff like that. And I don't know, this person just gives me Scientology tingles, and they are in a PR nightmare situation from lying about some stuff online. So maybe they're a Scientologist, girl, I don't know. But this former Scientologist, and literally quotes him as a former Scientology celebrity handler, who won $2.5 million in damages from the church after he sued it for alleged brainwashing. So this guy, who is a self-reported former Scientology handler who has a little bit of street cred because he has actually sued and successfully won money in the millions of dollars range from the Church of Scientology. This article is 30 years old. So this is an old article. It's from 30 years ago. But that guy is saying, quote, Scientology has been known to tell people to get divorced or married for public relations purposes. Lisa Marie Presley, the king's only daughter and heir, has been a Scientologist since childhood. Her mother Priscilla is said to have joined the church about a year after Elvis's death. Lisa Marie was already married to a prominent Scientologist, Danny Keough. It says, but quickly and quietly dissolved that union to marry Michael Jackson in the Dominican Republic in May. Keough's younger brother, Thomas, also a Scientologist, was an official witness of the Jackson-Presley nuptials. The Church of Scientology International issued a statement last week wishing the newlyweds the very best for a joyful future. Okay, so she's married to this guy, Danny, not Masterson. This is 30 years ago, Danny Keough, and he was apparently at the time a very prominent Scientologist. She was married to him, quietly divorces him, and then gets married to Michael Jackson in the Dominican Republic. Not only does she get married to Michael Jackson in the Dominican Republic after quickly and quietly divorcing from her other husband, Danny, who is a Scientologist, but Danny's brother was a witness to the Michael Jackson wedding. So Lisa Marie Presley's ex-brother-in-law was an official witness to the Michael Jackson wedding and Lisa Marie Presley? Weird. The article goes on. So what does this add up to? The hot theory among former Scientologists is that the church previously selected Jackson for recruitment. And in the words of this former celebrity handler guy, they used Lisa Marie Presley as, quote, the bait. Quote, stars are heavily recruited, and you can be sure that Michael Jackson was targeted, says one ex-Scientologist who worked at the Celebrity Center. So they did reach out for comment to a spokesperson from the Church of Scientology, who is it, Karen Pugh, or Powell or something. And Karen said any conspiracy theory that this was an arranged marriage is, quote, a complete fabrication. What makes Jackson a prime candidate for recruitment, say the church's critics, is his vulnerability. Now listen to this, y'all. His career is diminished and he remains under suspicion of child bleep, and he has recently been in drug rehab. Quote, this is a person whose life is in turmoil, a perfect target for the authoritarian, high influence techniques of Scientology. And this is also, again, another quote from the former Scientologist who claims to have been a former celebrity handler for Scientology. This guy says that they target people who are vulnerable, who need a reputation rehabilitation, who have been in rehab, and who have a diminished reputation because of things in the media, and whose lives are in, quote, turmoil. So this man left the church in 1979, and in 1994, he was literally still battling the Church of Scientology in court. And the conclusion of the article is, rumors are intense, but so far, no one has confirmed whether Jackson has, in fact, joined the church. Quote, I've never heard that, said Howard Weitzman. The web is webbing. Michael Jackson's attorney in 1994. And the last sentence says, Scientology officials said they had no other information about Jackson. So that article, the way that it was worded, the way that it was written, was kind of very speculatory. But then I started looking now specifically for articles about this wedding, about whether or not it might be an arranged marriage, stuff like that. And I do have two other articles that I do want to show y'all from that time frame, from the 1994 time frame. This one's from August 5th, 1994 in the Tallahassee Democrat, which interesting because it is a Florida newspaper and the headquarters of Scientology is Clearwater, Florida. They do have another headquarters, I think the international headquarters somewhere in Orange County, which something to keep in mind. Okay, so this article is entitled Ex-Scientologists Have Theories on Celebrity Nuptials. Scientologists selected Michael Jackson for recruitment and used Lisa Marie Presley as bait, a former member says. Now, I do want to remind y'all that another former Scientologist who's very famous, perhaps the most famous former Scientologist who is vocal against the organization, Leah Remini, has come out and said in different publications and different documentaries and interviews and stuff like that, that she was tasked exactly in this way with trying to recruit Jennifer Lopez into Scientology. She's apparently very good friends with J-Lo.
I could only assume because they wanted to make Jennifer a Scientologist.
Remini claims she was only invited to Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes' 2006 wedding so that she would bring her friend Jennifer Lopez.
The church was really the one who invited them.
The church.
On Tom's behalf.
Once they arrived to the nuptials in Italy, Remini alleges she was separated from J-Lo on purpose, from seating arrangements at the reception to riding in separate vehicles.
Which the web is webbing with this whole Scientology thing, because P. Diddy is still to this day very good friends with Ashton Kutcher, who wrote defense letters for Danny Masterson, a Scientologist. Ashton Kutcher was seen in the Celebrity Center performing with the crew of that 70s show. He's P. Diddy's bestie or whatever. And then Leah Remini, a Scientologist, is claiming that she was tasked with recruiting J-Lo into Scientology, and J-Lo was dating Diddy in 1999, which was only 5 years after this Lisa Marie Presley and Michael Jackson wedding, so that's interesting to me. We're going to see another link in with P. Diddy in just a moment, but let me wait till we get there. I don't want to get too confusing. Actually, it ended up being even more confusing the other way, so I'm going to just put in this little detour right here. So y'all know I like to focus on the bigger picture and how all these players seem different and separate, but when you pull one little thread, the whole sweater starts coming unraveled. So yeah, another connection to the whole Diddy world into this Lisa Marie Michael Jackson Scientology web of wonders has to do with this guy, a man by the name of Isaac Hayes. Isaac Hayes is a Hollywood mainstay and has been a part of the entertainment industry for decades. He's worked as a music producer, a writer, and even an actor over the years, and eventually he became one of the founding cast members of the Comedy Central juggernaut, South Park. He's also a well-known Scientologist. And remember that infamous South Park episode about Scientology called Trapped in the Closet? Well, that episode apparently offended Scientology so much that they actually forced Isaac to leave his job on South Park because of religious bigotry. But Isaac and Scientology go way back. He took his first Scientology course the year before the Michael Jackson Lisa Marie Presley wedding. So he was definitely already fully in Scientology by the time Michael Jackson got married to Lisa Marie Presley in this alleged arranged marriage. But what does this have to do with P. Diddy? You're probably wondering. Good question. Remember the video I posted the other day about the recently leaked Diddy party invitation? The one from 1998 that had Oprah and Donald Trump and Ellen with the pineapple inviting you to all the festivities? Well, that very same VHS invitation features none other than Mr. Isaac Lee Hayes Jr. himself. And by the time Isaac appeared in the Sean P. Diddy Puff Daddy Combs birthday party invitation, he had already been a Scientologist for years. Then 5 years after that, Diddy is dating J-Lo, and J-Lo would then become best friends with a celebrity Scientologist herself, Leah Remini. But also, it would later be exposed that J-Lo's actual own father is a Scientologist. On top of that, we know very well that Diddy is good friends with Ashton Kutcher and has been for years. And Ashton has also been seen performing at the Celebrity Center with known Scientologist Danny Masterson. Not only that, but like I said earlier, Ashton Kutcher would also write a defense letter for Danny Masterson in his RAPE trial, but we'll get into that more in a little while. All this stuff is like a map in my own head, but when you try to take it from your head and put it into words, it comes out a little bit conservatorship or jail. So I'm just trying to give a little bit at a time. So this is largely the same exact article, except this one is expanded. There's a little bit more information here. So all the stuff before leading up to this paragraph, we already read. It's the same as that other one, like literally verbatim. Why would she marry him? The only answer is Scientology, speculates another church defector who worked as a liaison with the entertainment community. Again, they quote this Karen Piao person, the spokesperson for the Church of Scientology, and she says it's a complete fabrication. She said, quote, "There is no factual substance to the rumor that there is a project to recruit celebrities." But now we have had Leah Remini at least coming out and saying that's exactly what she was told to do with J-Lo. So now with the hindsight of 30 years in the rear view and all of these alleged former Scientologists coming out and talking about the tactics of the church and things like that, it is very clear that there absolutely is and always has been a push to recruit celebrities. So coming as a surprise, certainly not to me, back in 1994, the people from the Scientology were lying to the press, but that's fine. I mean, I'm not shocked by it. She says there's no factual substance to the rumor that there's a project to recruit celebrities. Any such reports by former members or in past media articles are false. And then the article goes on to say, but it's true that the church has long treasured celebrities for the seeming legitimacy and publicity they bring. Scientology celebrity centers, there are 13 around the globe, quote, offer a distraction-free environment which is free of drugs and the other harmful influences that often plague celebrity lifestyles. And of course, stars also bring with them lots of cash. And they might be magnets for prospective members. So they interviewed another former Scientologist, or at least got comment for this article. His name is Robert Vaughn Young, and he says, quote, one of my jobs was to get celebrities active, to convince them to hustle and promote Scientology. And that guy had spent 20 years in the church. He said that was one of his jobs. He spent much of his time as a publicity officer, like 20 years in the Church of Scientology. And his job, or one of them, was to get celebrities active and convince them to hustle to promote Scientology. As early as 1955, L. Ron Hubbard offered plaques and free seminars to induce followers to bring in a celebrity quarry. A Scientology magazine listed luminaries such as Ed Sullivan, Groucho Marx, Walt Disney, and Jackie Gleason as potential candidates for, quote, auditing. The hunt was dubbed, quote, Project Celebrity. And later, church documents point to the importance of, quote, using Scientology celebrities to mold the opinions of the public. Scientology claims millions of members worldwide, focuses its early courses on eliminating traumas, fears, and sources of mental anguish that Hubbard believed were stored computer-like in mental engrams. Adherents work with counselors using a galvanic device called an e-meter to locate troublesome engrams and clear them. The process can cost thousands of dollars, and records of the auditing sessions are supposed to be confidential. So data collection and gathering, intel gathering, compromising people, and then using those secrets against them to exploit and blackmail them. That's what's been alleged. I mean, I've never done an auditing session, girl. I do not know. This is just allegations. According to former members, higher level and increasingly more expensive courses explore the traumas incurred in past lives and on distant planets. The Hubbard cosmology includes demonic forces from outer space that attach themselves to human spirits and must be removed so that one's spirit can progress. Linda Haidt, a Scientology minister, said that the description of the higher level beliefs makes it sound odd, and it's not. The IRS, FBI, and the Food and Drug Administration have long been wary of Scientology and its founder, who once proclaimed that writing for a penny a word was no way to get rich, but that founding a religion was. In the 1970s, Scientology retaliated against its perceived enemies by planting spies in various federal agencies and stealing documents. This led to the conspiracy convictions of 11 church leaders, including L. Ron Hubbard's wife, Mary Sue. The IRS, after years of denying a religious exemption to Scientology, granted the mother church tax-exempt status last year, so in 1993. Church officials say all those responsible for criminal activities were purged in the early 80s, and this is what Scientology continuously does. They get rid of these scapegoats, they make it seem like it's all other people who did the stuff, and then they just kind of keep it going. Defectors from the church, many of whom share information through a computer network established by former members, contend that Scientology is a destructive, money-oriented cult bent on world domination. They say auditing files are exploited to control members. The church denies all such charges. What makes Michael Jackson, a prime candidate for recruitment is his vulnerability, and we've read this part already, the person whose life is in turmoil. And then something that the other article left out that we do get in this one is this very last couple sentences. It says, but interfaith marriages are rare. Former church members say, quote, Lisa Marie will not stay married to Michael Jackson if he does not become a Scientologist or if he isn't ready, this man predicted. Well, his prediction ended up being at least partially correct because Michael Jackson did, in fact, divorce. And in later statements by Lisa Marie Presley, she would come out and admit that Scientology, the Church of Scientology, was in fact behind her divorce. They forced her to get divorced from him, and we will read those statements. But I did want to go over just one more article from the 1994 period, whenever Lisa Marie and Michael Jackson actually did get married. Okay, so this one is from right around the same time, as you can see, August 6th, 1994. This also contains some of the exact same language, but also has a little bit of different stuff too that I wanted to point out. So this one is entitled, Ex-Scientologists Say Jackson Was Baited. They claim that his marriage to Lisa Marie Presley was arranged as a recruitment ploy to get Michael Jackson to join up. Church spokeswoman says the theory is a complete fabrication. And yet again, just tacked on to the very end, there's something brand new other than the otherwise exactly the same verbatim word for word transcription of the same article. And look at it right here. We have that same conclusory paragraph. Interfaith marriages are rare. Lisa will not stay married to Michael Jackson if he does not become a Scientologist or if he is not ready. Then there's one more paragraph and it says other critics say that if Jackson is audited, he could become even more vulnerable. If they can get him to where he starts telling his personal secrets to them, the chances of him walking away diminish. That's the control point. They've got him. And this is that guy Young who left the Church of Scientology in 1989, and he was an aide to David Miscavige, the still current head of Scientology. Now, I want to get into some more contemporary reporting. First, I'm going to go to an article, Radar Online, and this one is just from last year, January 2023. Now, Lisa Marie Presley, she did pass away right around the time that this article came out. And it says, from beyond the grave, Lisa Marie Presley blames Scientology for orchestrating divorce from Michael Jackson. I didn't want to leave him. Lisa Marie Presley, who had at that point passed away, allegedly claimed the Church of Scientology played a big role in her divorce from ex-husband Michael Jackson in the years before her death. The only child of Elvis got married to the King of Pop in 1994, but they called it quits just 2 years later in 1996. Citing irreconcilable differences as the reason for their split. She would be present for some of the most turbulent times in Michael Jackson's life when he was accused of child bleep. Allegations Lisa Marie shut down in an unearthed interview with Tony Ortega, which was shared in a new blog post via the Underground Bunker. Bleep around little boys? Dude, you think I'd be with someone if I witnessed that? Lisa Marie allegedly said. She alluded that busy schedules and other issues put a damper on their union, telling Rolling Stone in 2003 that she had just had enough. But Tony Ortega, who has actually been trying to expose Scientology for several years, he said that she was lying. That was her way of saving face. He claimed that Scientology had been way more involved in their breakup than anybody knew. Quote, I was in love with Michael. I wanted to help him, she told Ortega years before she passed away. There was always someone here. Even when we did that ABC primetime interview, there was always a Scientology handler right there. So Lisa Marie Presley apparently told this Scientology, whistleblower, Tony Ortega, that there was always a Scientology handler always lurking and looking and controlling. It says, quote, David Miscavige facilitated my divorce with Michael Jackson, she allegedly said, claiming there was pressure from David Miscavige and Scientology attorney John P. Cole, C-O-A-L-E. I could make a whole video on him and I'm going to have to because I cannot get off in the rabbit hole, but this guy is everywhere. This guy, John P. Cole, is everywhere. The America First Policy Institute. Look this guy up.
We have that. Weekly meetings with the CIA, weekly meetings with the FBI.
Allegedly, he is the one who is alleged to have been working with David Miscavige to facilitate the divorce between Lisa Marie and Michael Jackson, which, the divorce is sus, but the marriage itself was sus. She divorced this prominent Scientologist, got married in the Dominican Republic to Michael Jackson very shortly after, and one of the witnesses to the wedding, wishing him a happy future, was her ex-husband's brother. It's just very sus in and of itself. And now we're getting all of this information almost 30 years later. So Tony Ortega continues on giving more quotes from this alleged interview from Lisa Marie. And he says that she said, quote, I was calling Dave, meaning David Miscavige, asking, what do I do? He was a huge Michael Jackson fan. Okay, so David Miscavige apparently was a huge Michael Jackson fan. He was all over that, she continued, according to Ortega. And Ortega also says that Lisa Marie was told to race to the court before Michael Jackson did, a choice she would later come to regret. She added, quote, I was in love with Michael. Believe it or not, I did not want to leave him. He was in trouble and I wanted to help him. And they made sure that I left him. First of all, I never told her to love or unlove Michael Jackson. This is 30 years ago, this lawyer said. So the lawyer, John Cole, the one that I just told y'all to go look up, who's involved in all kind of stuff, maybe I'll make a whole video on it, maybe I won't, I don't know if it's important enough. He came out last year and he was like, no, I never told her about anything about loving Michael Jackson, but that these Scientologists are not stupid, y'all. That's the biggest mistake I see people making, is assuming that they're stupid. Bad people are not necessarily stupid. And y'all need to understand some of the worst people are extraordinarily intelligent, and that is how they are able to manipulate. He said, first of all, I never told her to love or unlove Mr. Jackson. No one said you did, stupid ass. No one said you said unlove. People are alleging that you made her divorce him. That's not the same thing as love, girl. I don't know how you made it this far as a lawyer in your career. You don't know that love and divorce are not the same word. Loving and being married are not the same. Unloving and divorcing are not the same. I know many people divorce and they still love the person, but they're not with them no more. So in my opinion, it's intentional. They do this wordplay and they throw it in right there at the end and act like you're not going to notice. What do you mean love, unlove? Nobody said that. He said it was absurd to tell Lisa Marie to file first, considering there was a no contest. Again, this has nothing to do with anything. It's word salad, but the Scientologists really love to do it. They love the word salad.
Salad. Yummy, yummy.
Anyway, okay, so what else? So then there's this Daily Mail article also published just last year, and it says Priscilla Presley, that was Elvis's widow, traumatized Lisa Marie into Scientology after Elvis's death. Ex-member says Priscilla hoped that Scientology would help control young Lisa Marie's behavioral problems, which included acting out and later experimenting with drugs, a former high-ranking member of the church says. The Church of Scientology has chosen not to comment on allegations that Priscilla forced her 11-year-old daughter Lisa Marie into the church, where she endured its, quote, purification rundown to end behavioral problems that arose after her father's death. The allegations come from a former high-ranking member of the church who has spoken out in an interview with the Daily Mail about the indoctrination imposed on Lisa Marie Presley, who died in January. That lady with the nose job, that lady, told the Daily Mail that she was Presley's auditor and was therefore tasked with overseeing her introduction to the organization. At one point, nose job lady was married to the Scientology president, Heber Jensch, but left the church in 2010 after being a member for 35 years. It's also been reported that Lisa Marie Presley herself distanced herself from the church, possibly around 2012, after herself spending 35 years as a member. So Lisa Marie herself even hoped that Scientology could cure her of her drug abuse and other problems. And we know they have that drug abuse program that washes the other hand of AA, which is called Narconon. But honestly, y'all, I'm not even going to get into how I think they do operate largely the same way. So Nose Job Lady said that Priscilla Presley, at the suggestion of John Travolta, joined Scientology when she was mourning the 1977 death of her ex-husband Elvis. Priscilla also hoped that Scientology would help her control her daughter, that's Lisa Marie, behavioral problems, which included acting out and later experimenting with DRUGS. She said Lisa Marie Presley was traumatized by her father's death. She had been at Graceland when he collapsed from heart failure at the age of 42. She reportedly saw Elvis unalive before the cops and everything showed up. Quote, she was her daddy's little princess, truly loved by him. She emphatically acted out like a child, taking substances to forget every agony of losing her dad. And Nose Job Lady said Elvis would have never approved of his daughter being indoctrinated into Scientology or forced into, quote, obedience therapy. Elvis also would not have approved of Lisa Marie, his daughter, doing this purification program. The first time at age 12. The latter consisted of hours in a hot sauna, doing large amounts of exercise, and taking high levels of vitamins to make the body supposedly pure. So I just want to do a callback real quick to Kim Porter. What did they give her in those IVs according to her autopsy reports? Vitamins. It said they were putting vitamins. The nurse was coming to give her vitamins. Vitamins are good. You need them and stuff, but I just want to point that out. Something else I want to point out, I just came across this in my research while I was actually editing the video. Remember that guy Isaac Hayes from earlier, the one that worked on South Park and he was in Diddy's birthday invitation VHS tape? Well, he's also no longer with us, and as far back as 2008, people were ringing alarm bells saying that it's possible Scientology and this, quote, purification program had something to do with the death. Apparently, the man was found by his treadmill, and I don't know, it's just a whole mysterious thing, but I wanted to put that in here because I thought it was relevant to this specific purification program stuff. Quote, if Elvis was alive, he would never, ever have let his daughter endure torturous purification rundowns, sending her to ethics, handing out morality punishments? Nose job lady said. Church spokesperson literally 30 years later, same church spokesperson. Remember this Karen Piao from those 1994 articles? She's still giving the statements to the media 30 years later. She declined to comment on Nose Job Lady's allegations, and she said the church does not comment on parishioner counseling. But she did say that they are sad about Lisa Marie's death. The church's relationship with Lisa Marie was one of warmth and care, Karen Powell said. Priscilla could not be reached for comment, so Priscilla, the mom, did not comment. So then Nose Job Lady went on to say the following quote about Lisa Marie Presley. She says, "This is a girl who is a second-generation Scientologist who did not elect to go into Scientology. She was dragged into it because her parent was in it." The quote goes on to say, "She didn't want to be indoctrinated or attend courses. But Priscilla, the mom," which is, again, Elvis's ex-wife, "apparently believed she had no other choice. She would get exasperated with her because Lisa Marie was a rebellious kid. She was a free spirit. I'll do what I want whenever I want." Her mother got more and more worried. I think Lisa first started experimenting with substances at 13 or 14 years old. The more Lisa fought back, the more Priscilla tried her own methods of control. And this is a Dahlia Dia story. I mean, I don't know if they're Scientologists. Couldn't tell you, wouldn't be surprised to find it out. I'm not saying or even speculating that they are, but you do see these types of desperate measures of control, like Linda Haifa Omar Omer Takali Mora Yevremovich, or whatever her damn last name is, when she wants to tell the cops the next fake name she wants to tell them. She is still to this very day trying to control her 31, 32-year-old daughters in very similar ways to this. Also, the way that Lima Yevremovich is harassing me with frivolous, fake, fraudulent lawsuits, lying in them, calling people on the phone in the middle of a live stream about me where the person's clearly getting fed information about me, trying to recruit people to join her forces and keep me tangled up in courts for the next who knows, God knows how many years, is definitely very reminiscent of these Scientology tactics, I will say. Actually, it's so reminiscent of Scientology tactics that my lawyer based one of his legal arguments on a precedent set in a Scientology case where Scientology had to pay somebody their legal fees for a frivolous lawsuit, and my lawyer won the legal argument based on it. That's how similar Lima's tactics are to Scientology, that I actually was awarded attorney's fees based on the precedent set in a Scientology case. So do with that information what you will. And then the article concludes, now that Lisa Marie is dead, Nose Job Lady imagines that Priscilla feels regret over all the years she tried to make Scientology work for her and her daughter. I predict that this will shake up Priscilla to the core, she said. Now, I do want to point out, just literally 1 month after this article came out and just 1 month after Lisa Marie Presley passed away, Bam Margera, fresh out of rehab, was hanging out with Priscilla Presley. Remember this thing about like giving him a ring or something? Like, I don't really know why Priscilla Presley was hanging out with Bam Margera at the same exact time all this stuff was going on, but I digress. Okay. So this is another article from around the same time, which relies a little bit on that interview with the Nose Job Lady again, but there's a couple different ways of putting things that I wanted to point out to y'all. Exclusive: finding Elvis not alive at 9 years old, Scientology obedience therapy at 11 years old, and her, quote, hostile relationship with her mom Priscilla. Lisa Marie Presley's former counselor reveals how trauma the king of rock and roll's daughter suffered was too much to bear. She was so traumatized by Elvis's passing that she spent the next 35 years trying to be cured by Scientology, according to claims by the former counselor, aka Nose Job Lady. I'm calling her Nose Job Lady because her name is Karen, and the Scientology spokesperson's name is also Karen. I think it just gets confusing, so it's just easier to call her that, and it is very obvious the woman has a nose job. I mean, she looks grotesque and detestable, but her body, her choice. I hope she loves it. Nose Job Lady, Karen de la River, was known as the, quote, Queen of Scientology. Did y'all know this woman was the Queen of Scientology? She was a high-ranking member of the church for 35 years. She says Priscilla Presley, who turned to Scientology to alleviate the grief of Elvis's sudden death in 1977, used the church to help control her daughter's behavioral problems. Lisa Marie, who was just 11 years old at the time, endured a hostile relationship with her mother, and they were in, quote, mortal combat for the rest of their lives. Sounds like Dahlia and Dia. Lisa Marie, the 54-year-old daughter of the king of rock and roll, died of a cardiac arrest last Thursday night. Now, I do want y'all to know I have requested this autopsy report, but I have seen conflicting reports. I have seen that she did not die from a cardiac arrest, but in fact, she died from a small bowel obstruction called like a sequelae, which had resulted from some scar tissue buildup in her small bowel known as adhesions, which were obstructing her ability to, eliminate waste from her body. And that is what had caused her to die. I don't know. I'm like I said, I requested the autopsy report and I will be reporting that to you as soon as I get it. Okay. So interestingly, y'all, please, the woman, Lisa Marie, Elvis Presley's daughter, sole heir to the Elvis Presley fortune. Okay. She was living with that ex-husband, the one she was married to before. Remember the one she was married to? She divorced him and then she went and married Michael Jackson, allegedly arranged marriage. And then the person witnessing that marriage was the brother of this man right here, Danny. Okay, yeah. She was living last year with that man, with Danny, with the ex-husband, the prominent Scientologist for 40 years, Danny Keough. She was living with him in his house. Conflicting reports how she died. Was it a cardiac arrest? Was it a small bowel obstruction? Was it a sequela? I mean, I don't know. We're going to see in the autopsy report. But I find it to be very interesting that she died during the Danny oh my God. Okay. Let's hold off on the Danny Masterson piece, but that's the final shebang, the final conclusion. It's going to be the Danny Masterson piece. We're getting to that in the next and final article. So let's just finish this one. Nose job lady was married to Scientology president Heber Jang from 1978 to 1989. So for about 11 years. She quit the church in 2010 and she's now married to an artist named Jeffrey Augustine and they live in LA. She became Lisa Marie Presley's auditor and says that Presley was placed in, quote, obedience therapy as a schoolgirl. She says that Elvis would never have allowed that to occur if he had lived. Priscilla Presley didn't respond for comment. Okay, so we get a little bit more information about this John Travolta recruiting tactic back in the 70s. And the nose job lady said, quote, Priscilla was in a bad mental condition, had gone through a big loss, and Elvis had died. And in her weak moment of great loss, Travolta persuaded her to come in. Quote, Priscilla then dominated poor Lisa. Also, I just want to point out, this woman, it's very easy for her after 35 years of contributions and literally auditing. She herself was the one who was auditing. And now she's like, oh, it's Priscilla. She dominated Lisa. Then you just say that Priscilla was also dominated and taken advantage of in a moment of vulnerability and profound weakness. And you literally actively participated for 35 years, married to the president of it. And you just going to sit here and blame this all on Priscilla Presley? Please. Priscilla Presley, who was literally groomed as a child, her own self. Girl, please. I mean, look, there's blame to go around, but it's plenty to go around. It ain't just Priscilla. Anyway, the quote goes on, nose job lady said, she grew up as a little princess. She was the daughter of the king of rock and roll, living in luxury, but she had misery because she and her mother were adversaries. And this is also kind of giving a little bit Courtney Love, a little bit. Whatever her mother wanted was the opposite of what Lisa wanted. Priscilla forced the religion onto her daughter, Lisa Marie. And then we get the second generation quote again. She didn't elect to go into it. She was in it because her parent was in it. She didn't want to be indoctrinated or attend courses. It's really tragic that Lisa, as a 9-year-old, discovered her father's body. She was her daddy's little princess, truly loved by him, and that was a huge trauma for her. Lisa Marie emphatically acted out as a child, like a child, taking to forget every agony. The relationship was hostile, a power imbalance. Priscilla had all the power. She was the mom. The child can't run away at 9 years old. What you can do to fight back is to be rude, be disrespectful. Your only weapon is to be combative. Her mother got more and more worried. I think Lisa first started experimenting with substances 13, 14. The more Lisa fought back, the more Priscilla tried her own Linda Omer methods of control. So when I say locked in mortal combat, quote, the two were not aligned at all. There was no harmony, a relationship of warfare. It was like living in a war zone that would precipitate a child to do more bleep and to get some kind of high away from misery. That's why I think Priscilla will take this death really hard, as the other person has died and you haven't made good. So she's saying the mom's going to take the death really hard. And look, here's a Scientology. Here, I think these are Scientology ads. Yeah, look. The gymnasium. The Manor Hotel has a state-of-the-art private gymnasium for hotel guests. It's equipped with a 9-station universal workout facility, free weights, fresh towels. The Celebrity Center in the full splendor. Take a tour of the grounds. You will see hotel rooms where the stars lived. At the end of the tour, you'll be invited to a complimentary showing of An Introduction to Scientology, a filmed interview with L. Ron Hubbard. House's historical tours are available throughout the week. Celebrity Center takes care of me. Here's a quote from Lisa Marie, and that's her right there. Celebrity Center takes care of me. They take care of other artists. Since the artist can create a very big effect on a broad scale, the understanding of them is incredibly important. That's what Celebrity Center does. I love the whole atmosphere. And then we have like another Scientology ad right here, Bridge to Freedom. And this is from Priscilla, Elvis's ex-wife. Scientology in many ways gave me the driving force to continue with acting. Without it, I probably would have given up a long time ago. I'm able to reach areas of creativity that were never available to me before. Not only is it applicable in everyday life, it is vital to me as an actor. So they're both being used in the promotional materials. As an 11-year-old, Lisa Marie was dropped off by her mother at the Church's Celebrity Center for hours, months on end, for obedience therapy, brainwashing, reprogramming therapy, torture, who knows what they were doing. Maybe it's the same thing they were doing to Britney in Bridges to Recovery. Because, you know, I always have found it interesting that Scientology is the bridge to freedom, the bridge to total freedom, and the place where Britney Spears says that she experienced the most inhumane, cruel, and unusual treatment in the whole entire 13-year conservatorship was in the Bridges to Recovery facility, which is only right down the street from P. Diddy's mansion, which we've already made a couple links, couple web connecting points, but we're going to get back into that. But I've always thought that was very strange. And then Britney Spears did complain to the judge about this treatment in 2019, which caused the judge to force an evaluation and an investigation. And just weeks before the judge was supposed to hear on the reports of the investigation, the doctor who abused, allegedly, according to Britney, abused her in this Bridges to Recovery Center, which is actually just a private house across the street from Irving Azoff and down the street from P. Diddy, right before he was set to testify, right before he was set to be investigated in the court and shown what he did, he died. And it's not clear how he died because his autopsy report is not available to the public. His wife said he died from multiple pulmonary embolisms, and everybody else in the media said he died from an aneurysm. He's dead, the Bridges to Recovery guy, Things to think about. So anyway, back to Lisa Marie Presley. At 11 years old, she was dropped off at the Celebrity Center for, quote, obedience therapy as her behavior went off the rails. Nose Job Lady claims Lisa Marie was made to do the, quote, purification rundown, which consists of hours in a hot sauna, large amounts of exercise, and taking high levels of vitamins to make the body supposedly pure at least 3 times a day. The first of these was when she was just 12 years old. Priscilla would be scowling when this big limousine drove up to the Celebrity Center with a chauffeur, and Lisa Marie would be ordered out of the car to get her indoctrination and straighten herself out. Nose Job Lady says, I can't get into what came up in the sessions. It would be betraying trust. But anytime she acted up, she was dropped off, which I think this is just another kind of cover up. I don't think this Nose Job Lady actually has left the Church of Scientology. I think personally, she is an installed sort of controlled opposition to come out and say some things that appear to be actually bad about Scientology, but really she's not saying anything bad about Scientology. She's just talking about Priscilla Presley. She's not really fessing up to how she personally was the one who was the auditor who was conducting these things. She's the one who tortured this child, and she's blaming it on the woman who dropped her off in the limo because she was scowling. Okay. Makes sense. Makes total sense, girl. The instructions from Priscilla were, handle her, just do it. Doesn't that sound like what James Parnell Spears might have possibly could have said to a Larry Rudolph or a Dr. Timothy Benson at the Bridges to Recovery Treatment Center? Doesn't that sound a little bit like what could have been said about Britney when she was refusing to perform? Handle her, just do it. Because I seem to remember a certain TMZ doctor just literally last week saying that Britney needs to be medicated forcibly against her will because, quote, no one can control her, quote. It's all sounding just a little bit too eerily similar. The instructions from Priscilla, quote, handle her, just do it, and she would be there for hours. Lisa Marie had no choice. Quote, I believe this was an enforced conversion therapy. It was obedience therapy. Lisa spent a couple hours a day with the auditor for months. An 11-year-old shouldn't be forced into the indoctrination of anything. Then why did you do it? Why did this lady do it? Is she sorry? Doesn't sound like it. Sound like she's blaming Priscilla. And doesn't this sound just eerily similar to some other goings on right now? All of a sudden, we have all this attention on the Church of Scientology. And when you really get into what some of these people are actually saying, they're not saying much bad about Scientology. They're actually just talking about each other. You ever notice that? Do you ever notice that a lot of these people aren't actually talking about the Church of Scientology itself? They're talking about Mike Render or Aaron Smith Levin or, so-and-so person, this and that. I mean, the only person who I've seen be consistent with their criticism of the actual Church of Scientology is Serge. That's the only one. And his main thing is just focus on the children, focus on the fact that the children are being put into this and up to this. I just think it just sounds a little bit too familiar to this nose job lady who's coming out and blaming everything that she did. She did it. She's blaming it on Priscilla Presley, who wasn't even there. She admits, nose job lady admits Priscilla Presley was nowhere to be seen whenever she was auditing this 11-year-old. But somehow it's Priscilla Presley's fault and not her fault. It could be Priscilla Presley's fault. Don't get me wrong. Again, it is Priscilla Presley's fault, but it ain't only her fault. It's also this lady who is married to the president of the Church of Scientology. And it's like, well, 11-year-olds shouldn't be indoctrinated into anything. Well, then why were you doing it? Why weren't you doing it? She said, I wasn't some mother superior with a cane rapping her knuckles. I saw the sadness in her eyes. I saw how this force was superimposed on her against her will. So she does regret it. She said, I should have refused, but she didn't. She traumatized this girl. She helped. She said she should have said, I'm not going to do this to an 11-year-old girl who doesn't want any of this. Okay, well, now she's dead. By the time this woman came out and said this, Lisa Marie was dead. In the house of the prominent Scientologist. Please. She did substances and they forced this Scientology purification rundown on her. The rundown consists of sitting in a sauna 5 hours a day, slowly taking more and more vitamins and minerals until one is taking 5,000 milligrams of niacin a day. What in the hell is niacin? Is that vitamin B? I think niacin is vitamin B. Yeah, vitamin B3. Just for fun, let me see what the symptoms of a niacin overdose. Okay, so according to the mayoclinic.org, niacin is a B vitamin that is made and used by your body to turn food into energy. It helps keep your nervous system, digestive system, and skin healthy. It is often part of a daily multivitamin, but most people get enough niacin from the food they eat. Okay, oh my God. Okay, hold on. Okay, this is the Mayo. Let me I want y'all to see that this is from the Mayo Clinic. Look. See Mayo Clinic. It says it right there. Y'all see that up there, Mayo Clinic? Okay. This is not some not reputable source. I mean, we're talking about the Mayo Clinic. Okay. So it says the recommended daily amount of niacin for adult males is 16 milligrams a day. And for adult women who are not pregnant is 14 milligrams a day. Oh my God. Y'all. The former queen of Scientology says that this purification rundown involves progressively taking more and more niacin until you're taking more than 5,000 milligrams per day. The mayoclinic.org says the recommended daily amount of niacin is 14 milligrams a day for adult women. 14 milligrams a day. The former queen of Scientology says she started these vitamin things when she was 12 years old. And this former queen of Scientology is saying that the purification rundown consists of progressively increasing more vitamins and minerals into the system until you are taking 5,000. One more time. The Mayo Clinic says that the recommended dose is 14, not 1,000, not even 100. Whew. When taken orally in appropriate amounts, which is 14 to 16 milligrams a day, niacin appears to be safe, according to the Mayo Clinic. This is from the Mayo Clinic. High doses of niacin available via prescription can cause. So here's some of the symptoms that high doses of niacin can cause. Severe skin flushing, dizziness, rapid heartbeat, itching, nausea and vomiting, abdominal pain, diarrhea, gout, liver damage, and diabetes. Well, this one, and this one piqued my interest. Serious side effects. Okay. Look at this. Mayoclinic.org says this. Serious side effects are most likely if you take between 2,000 and 6,000 milligrams of niacin a day. So again, what did the former queen of Scientology say? That they were giving them 5,000 milligrams of niacin every day. Okay. So what does the mayoclinic.org say? Well, they say serious side effects are most likely if you take that amount between 2 to 6. And I mean, 5 is on the upper end of that. 5,000 is more than double an amount that Mayo Clinic says serious side effects are most likely if you take. If you've ever had liver disease, peptic ulcer disease, I think that's like stomach ulcers, or severe low blood pressure, do not take large amounts of niacin. The supplement has been linked with liver damage. It can cause low blood pressure and it might activate a peptic ulcer. It could worsen allergies, gallbladder disease, and symptoms of certain thyroid disorders. If you have diabetes, it can interfere with blood glucose control. So they also include an interactions list. This is mayoclinic.org. If you take it with alcohol, if you take it with xyloprim, if you take it with antiplatelet drugs, herbs and supplements, blood pressure drugs, herbs and supplements. I don't know what chromium is. And zinc. I mean, so she's saying, they give you vitamins and minerals until you're taking 5,000 milligrams of niacin a day. Okay. So the article goes on. Queen of Scientology comes in and says, quote, Lisa had to do this procedure over and over because of her drug relapses. And doing this program, she'll magically not want to do drugs anymore. Then she goes on again to say, if Elvis were alive, he would not have let this happen to his daughter. All of the stuff she endured for 35 years, the absolute Scientology indoctrination, leading nowhere with no result. He would never have allowed it. Scientology got tons of money out of her. It touts itself as making you this high ethical spirit. You're more aware. You have more morals. You have more ethics. You're practically a superhuman. You're more healthy. Well, she died a bleep addict after being in Scientology for 35 years. That's a quote. I'm just reading from here. I'm not saying that as my opinion. It's thought that Lisa Marie turned her back on Scientology after a bust-up with leader David Miscavige, who disconnected from his father Ron after he fled the church in 2012. Lisa Marie was very close with Ron, who's the father of David Miscavige. So Lisa Marie was apparently very close to David Miscavige's father. And whenever him and David had their falling out and he left the church, then apparently, allegedly, the rumors are that's when Lisa Marie Presley also left the church. David Miscavige's dad was banned from any contact with his other Scientology daughters, Lori and Denise. The same year that Ron left, Lisa Marie released the single You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet and quit the church herself later, officially in 2014. This was Lisa's big revenge on David Miscavige. That was her announcement to the world that she was leaving. The lyrics certainly seem like she's hitting out, saying, lay down the truth, don't make a sound, just a piece of fruit who's hit the ground. I don't respond, I've lost the plot, unethical, not what I thought. You think that I'm evil and I'm all for it, you ain't seen nothing yet. I'm a bit transgressive and suppressive as well. You ain't seen nothing yet. Am I a disruption to your corruption? Now, Queen of Scientology nose job lady thinks Priscilla, the mom, will be full of remorse and will turn to her old friend Travolta, who lost his own wife, Kelly Preston, to breast cancer in 2020 and his autistic son, Jet, in 2009 after a violent seizure. Kind of like Bam Margera had 8 of them. After Bam, who had never had a seizure in his life, met Lima Yevremovich, he would go on to have 8 seizures, one of which put him in the hospital. So, girl. Okay, and now let's just get to this final article. And this one is having to do with the timing of Lisa Marie Presley's death and the Danny Masterson trial. So this is another article from around January 2023. Prosecutors in Danny Masterson case dealt a blow after star witness Lisa Marie Presley's death. Former Scientologist was going to testify that religion put pressure on accusers. Hello? I saved the best for last. We're over an hour into recording at this point. Prosecutors in the Danny Masterson case are dealt a blow because they had a star witness who was going to testify. Doesn't this kind of remind you a little bit of another star witness who Britney Spears alleged was giving her these weird treatments, forcing her to work for hours a day? She couldn't leave. She wasn't allowed to leave. She was getting handled. She was getting reprogrammed. She was getting purification. Doesn't it kind of remind you of that? He died weeks before he was supposed to be set to testify. Let's get into this Danny Masterson, Lisa Marie Presley story, shall we? Prosecutors eager to revive the case against that 70s show star and Scientologist Danny Masterson were dealt a blow following the death of Lisa Marie Presley. Yesterday, Presley was announced dead at a Los Angeles hospital after she suffered a, quote, full cardiac arrest at her home hours earlier. She was 54 years old. Again, I'm not sure about this cardiac arrest thing. I have requested the autopsy report, and I will let y'all know what it does say. Prosecutors say Masterson bleeped 3 women, all former Scientologists, in his Hollywood Hills home between 2001 and 2003. Masterson, 46, has maintained his innocence, and his legal team has said that the acts were all consensual. Presley, a former Scientologist, had been named as one of the prosecution's star witnesses, but was ultimately not called to the stand after the judge limited the scope of her potential testimony. The judge in that case had declared a mistrial in the case due to a deadlocked jury in November. Just 2 days before Presley's death, prosecutors announced their plan to pursue a second trial against Masterson. What? Blink and you miss it. But what this is saying is Danny Masterson, with the benefit of hindsight, we now know, was convicted on at least some of these charges. But back last year, he wasn't convicted. The judge declared a mistrial. The mistrial was because the jury was deadlocked. The jury could not come up with a guilty or a not guilty. So there was a mistrial. But when there is a mistrial, double jeopardy doesn't come into play, and the prosecutors can seek to have another trial if they want to put the state funding to it. A lot of times they won't. But in this case, they did. They were successful because at least some of the charges he did get found guilty of, and he's going to be going to prison. So before any of that happened, the first trial, it was declared a mistrial. The prosecution comes out and says, we're going to try him again. Now we know that they were able to successfully do that. But just 2 days after the prosecution came out and announced they were going to do this Danny Masterson trial again, 2 days after, Lisa Marie Presley dies from an alleged cardiac event that happened in the home where she was living with a prominent Scientologist. 2 days after the prosecution announced. 2 days after the prosecution announced they were going to be trying Danny Masterson again, Lisa Marie Presley died, and she was going to be a star witness. She was going to tell everyone from that stand what the Church of Scientology does, and she was going to come across as credible. That's Elvis's only daughter and the heir to Elvis's entire fortune. Girl, please. During the trial, prosecutors told the jury that Presley was asked by the Church of Scientology to persuade one Masterson accuser not to report him to the police. Danny Masterson's legal team argued that the heiress's testimony was irrelevant. The actor's defense included Tom Messereau, who defended Presley's ex-husband, Michael Jackson, in his 2005 abuse trial. So they're all intertwined. I mean, the web is webbing, girl. The judge declared a mistrial because the jury voted 7 times over a 24-hour period without being able to reach a consensus of any of the 3 counts. A few months after April 2003, she was contacted by the Church of Scientology because she was friends with the Jane Doe number 1. And she says that the Church of Scientology asked her to make contact with Jane Doe number 1 and calm things down because Jane Doe number 1 at the time was threatening to go to the authorities to report Masterson, and the church wanted to deal with it in-house. Kind of like they wanted to deal with Britney Spears whenever she tried to get the courts involved in her inhumane treatment. I don't know. These are just things that come to my mind. So then the quote goes on and says that Lisa Marie Presley did, in fact, do as the church asked her to do and contact Jane Doe 1 and reported back to the Church of Scientology. The district attorney told the court that Lisa Marie had also admitted to police that years later, she sent a message to Jane Doe 1 apologizing for that previous attempt to silence her. I have literally been recording for an hour and a half. I mean, I don't know how long it's going to actually be here. I think I've pretty much dumped all the information I want to dump here. But mostly I just wanted y'all to leave away with some things to think about. I mean, was Michael Jackson in an arranged marriage to Lisa Marie Presley? Was Lisa Marie Presley in an arranged marriage to Michael Jackson? Was Lisa Marie Presley in an arranged marriage to Danny Keough? And was she in an arranged marriage to this other Lockwood guy? Oh my Lord, just whenever I thought we were about to be done, psych. Look what else I found during my research.
But for the eccentric 47-year-old, once famously married to Lisa Marie Presley for just 108 days.
So as you just heard in that news clip, Lisa Marie Presley also had another husband, Nicolas Cage, to whom she was only married for 108 days. But look at this news article I found. Lisa Marie Presley failed to interest Nicolas Cage in Scientology during their 5-minute marriage, although she tried hard. But now the Oscar winner's climbing a new AG stairway to heaven, made famous by Madonna, Barbra Streisand, and Roseanne, Kabbalah. Ever since pals of Cage turned him onto Hollywood's Kabbalah Center, he's attended regularly and raves he's never felt so enlightened. Which I don't really know. I don't obviously have time to get into all the Kabbalah stuff, but it does definitely show that yet again in another different newspaper article in a different era, after Lisa Marie Presley was no longer even married to Michael Jackson, that these allegations that she is being used as basically a Scientology honeypot are repeated here in this article. Now, I don't really know if it's true. I wasn't there. I really don't know. Just wanted to include that in here. Is the nose job lady controlled opposition, or can we really believe that she now is sorry for what she has done? These questions and more remain unanswered. And also, why do all of these tactics feel so alarmingly similar to every other celebrity case that we look into, including but not limited to Britney Spears, Kanye West, Bam Margera, Wendy Williams, Amanda Bynes? I could go on. I don't know. Things to think about. That's all I really had for today. In the meantime, facts ain't defamation. Love you, mean it. Goodbye.
Hey guys, it's Selena.
Fresh on Selena Gomez. No one heard that.
You taught me what Instagram was for the first time ever.
I did.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for supporting me and giving me this opportunity, and I hope to see you in 2010.
Word is, it is over. Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez have called it quits.
Joining us now is Chloe Melas from HollywoodLife.com. Thanks for being with us.
A lot of people think that this is the first time that they've broken up, but that's not true.
Music's been a passion of mine, and so I'm really excited to start this. And I wanted to document it. So I hope you guys enjoy going on this journey with me, and hope you have fun.
When a parent finds exploitation funny, there is usually something much more sinister laying beneath the surface.
Selena Gomez's camp has just revealed that she entered rehab and that her parents were actually the ones that pushed her to seek help because they felt that she was partying way too much. RadarOnline.com, though, is reporting that Selena Gomez was actually abusing the prescription drug Xanax.
This is Selena Gomez. I was just calling back from my Say Now.
Are you serious?
Yes, I am.
Oh my god, hi!
Hi, what's your name? How are you?
I'm talking to you. Hi, I'm good, how are you?
I'm wonderful. What's your name, sweetie?
Look at me. The only way I got where I am is by cooking food. Are you kidding me?